26.3 Libby Ferguson Method section. The multi-stage fitness test and the Queen's College Step test are relatively simple to set up and conduct due to them both having a recording that helps conduct the test. However, before both tests are both conducted, a risk assessment of the area of facilities that is going to be used must be complete. An example of the risk assessment used is seen here in figure 4. In the first column there's incorrect clothing or shoes, which would affect the participants. So to control this, the testers or researchers need to make sure that everyone is in the correct shoes so that they are less likely to slip, as well as wearing appropriate clothing so that they have full range of motion available. Another hazard would be injuries from an inadequate warm-up. People at risk would be the participants again. So controls to be put in place would be make sure that everyone follows a standardised warm-up. Another hazard would be water spillages or slippery floors. So people at risk would be participants as well as the testers. So for this, just to make sure that the sports hall floors before the sessions are checked, mopped up any liquids that were on the floor, and maybe not allow drinks within the sports hall so that nothing can be spilt. A last hazard would be a fire, so this would affect everyone. So if there was a fire in that building, then the fire alarms need to be made sure that they're working before the session starts. Inform everyone of the nearest fire exits and make sure that everyone's aware of the protocols around fires in case it does happen. As well, a health screening questionnaire, park use and informed consent will need to be filled in. This firstly gives the researchers knowledge of the participants and makes them aware of any reasons as to them dropping out or any medical information that may need to be addressed. But also allows the participants to have an in-depth knowledge of the test procedures and exactly what they will be completing in. As well, a thorough standardised warm-up should be conducted for all the participants to firstly make sure that everyone's muscles are pliable and not stiff, which could cause injuries to occur. For the multi-stage fitness test, all that is required is a space that's big enough, so it has to be 20 metres long, and the width depends on the amount of participants. Cones to mark out the area, the audio recording, and 3 testers. So 2 should be on either line, making sure that people either don't go too early or that people are making it over the line before the beep. And another one to record the participants' scores when they get out. To conduct the test, the cone should be placed out in a rectangle so that one side is 20 metres long. All the participants will line up with both feet behind the line. Once the recording indicates to go, which will be by a beep, all the participants will make their way to the parallel line before the next beep sounds. Once the next beep has sounded, the participants run back. This will continue until all the participants are out. The speed will gradually increase from a gentle jog to a sprint. If our participant was to fail to make the line within the beep, then they will have to make it to the line and back to the other line before the next beep sounds. This will be their first warning. After this, if they fail to make the line again, then they're out. Once out, the testers should make note of their score. For the Queen's College Step test, the equipment needed is a step that is 41.3 centimetres high, a timer or stopwatch, a metronome or a recording, a heart rate monitor, although this piece of equipment is optional, as well as testers. For the test, the participants must step to the beat. This is different for males and females. Males have a pace of 24 steps per minute, whereas females have a pace of 22 steps per minute. After 3 minutes of the participants stepping up and down, the athletes stop and their heart rate is recorded for 15 seconds. This can then either be added into a calculator, which works out the VO2 max, or it can be added to a formula. The formula for men is 111.33, take away 0.42 times the heart rate, beats per minute. Or for females, it's 65.81, take away 90.1847 times the heart rate, beats per minute. Moving on to the results section. To calculate VO2 max from the multi-stage fitness test, you will need a table with the shuttles and levels that have corresponding VO2 max scores. My participant got a VO2 max score of 30.2 in their first test, which corresponds with level 5 shuttle 2. On their second test, their VO2 max increased 30.6, which relates to level 5 shuttle 3. This can be seen in figure 5, which is here, which shows the results from the multi-stage fitness test. The first 2 bars are the participant's 2 results from when she performed a test retest. In the first test she got 30.2, whereas in the second test she improved to 30.6, which means that she got to 1 stage further in the second test. Then in the final column there is normative data, which was obtained from Brian Mack, which was accessed in 2020. The normative data was taken from the average section of females aged 16 to 19, which my participant fits into, and was 32.5. The graph shows that both of my participants' results are below average, which is a surprising result due to my participant performing netball multiple times a week and therefore should have a high cardiovascular endurance, which will result in a higher VO2 max. Unlike the Queen's College Step Test, my participant's results were not consistent, but were different. This is due to her reaching a higher shuttle in her second level. However, it may have been due to external factors such as motivation that enabled her to go that 1 shuttle further. Due to their VO2 max score being below average, as well as due to their VO2 max being below average, training as well as adapting their diet would be subscribed. Which will, so to help improve their VO2 max score, but more specifically in the context of the multi-stage fitness test, then their cardiovascular endurance will need to be improved, which can be done by continuous training. This continuous training will be done 3 times a week. It will start off by being 15 minutes, but as the weeks progress, this should increase by 5 minutes each week. This should then be progressively overloading the participant, which will enable their cardiovascular endurance to improve over the weeks. Once her cardiovascular endurance has improved, my participant will, in theory, be able to get to a higher level as well as shuttle, which will correspond to a higher VO2 max score. As well, having a diet that's high in carbohydrates will help with energy, as another reason for the below average score may be due to fatigue. However, it would be more ideal for the participant to eat more complex carbohydrates, such as your brown foods like brown rices, pasta, or whole grain breads, as these give long-lasting bursts of energy rather than the short bursts of energy that come from simple carbohydrates such as your white pastas and white rice. As stated earlier, to calculate VO2 max for females, the formula 65.81 take away 0.1847 times your heart rate is used. This calculation would be used to get the results of the Queen's College Step Test as seen in figure 6. My participant had a heartbeat per minute of 124. So this would be added to the calculation of 0.1847 times 124, which gives you a result of 22.9028. This number is then subtracted from the 65.81 to give a result of 42.9. Just like the multi-stage fitness test, there was a test-retest protocol, which can be seen in the graph as test 1 and 2. In both of the tests, the participant got 42.9, which shows consistency, which would be expected from this test. This is because it's a submaximal test that gets the participant step in time to a recording. Therefore, my participant will be working at the same rate and intensity in both of their tests. The only factor that could potentially alter the results would be how the heart rate is measured after. As well, the final column is the normative data, which again was from Brian Mack, accessed in 2020, from the average section for females aged 17 to 20, which my client also fits into and was 40. This graph is showing that both of my participants' results were above average. Having an above average VO2 max has many health benefits, including a decreased fatigue rate as well as an increased heart rate range. Having a low fatigue rate will mean that my participant can maintain a higher performance rate for a longer duration of her netball games, which could have an overall increase in her team's performance. As well, having a higher heart rate range will therefore mean that my participant will be able to work longer, as well as at a higher intensity than someone with a higher resting heart rate. This means that during training, my participant can get the most out of the sessions, and therefore it will be more beneficial for the individual.